Hi, this is Pastor Bob, and welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. I had a great question here from my friend Mark. He says, can you speak on attending church versus having a home church versus fellowshipping with other believers and not going to a group or a gathering? And what does forsaking not the assembling of the brethren really mean? Great question. You know, we've talked about this a few times, but I want to talk about it in a little different perspective today. You know, the assembling of the brethren, that's King James English, but in other words, assembling Christians together can mean anything. And it really does. And when you study church history, you find out that it meant a variety of things. Now, we get really caught up in the way that the New Testament church was structured many times. And we say this is the way it ought to be. And we look at the churches in the New Testament, the church in Corinth, the church in Laodicea, the church in Ephesus, etc., etc. And we say this is the way it ought to be. But it's an interesting study into the second century of Christianity. Some of those churches didn't even exist then. And things changed drastically. And as you study church history, you find that the way they do it, the system that they use to do it, changes drastically too. But one thing that they all had in common, and one thing that home churches, traditional churches, all of those things have in common, are Christians getting together to fellowship. And that's the point. You see, God's heart was that we would continue to get together, encourage one another, use our spiritual gifts together, and that's all really important. And it can be done in a variety of ways. For instance, my office is at Starbucks. I often think that they'd probably close down if it wasn't for me. I'm there almost every day, and I have my appointments there. Just about every day this week, I've had a full table. A lot of people dropping by and some great discussions and just a really great time. And then once a month I have Righteous Wrap with Pastor Bob there. Actually, we call it Fancy Coffee with Pastor Bob. But it's a rap session where we just kind of get together and righteously rap together. And that's a great thing. I'm looking forward to that on Sunday afternoon. But that's church. When you get together, you encourage each other, you use your spiritual gifts together, and you become part of the body of Christ together. I love that kind of encouragement. And it can be done in a variety of ways. You know, we feel like the traditional model is the only model, and actually, many times it's not the best model. I don't think that church was ever meant to really be a spectator sport, where you just go and watch somebody perform and then go home. I think we have to be involved, and however you do that, however you can be involved with each other, that's the best thing. So Mark, I hope that answers the question. I have done a lot of podcasting on church and what it ought to be. You might want to go through the archives again and see what you might want to pull out there as well. God bless you. Have a great day.